The Jim and Terry Show coming to you from the Hobbit Hole Studio in Bobcaygeon. It's a sunny day. It feels like summer, and Jim is grooving in the Hobbit Hole seat.
I'm here.
You're here. Well,
No,
you're trying to do the theremin. That's right. So who passed away that you want to lead us in with?
Brian Wilson passed away. One of the greatest musicians, composers, producers.
The Beach Boys.
Ever to take your choice, ever walk on the earth. Crazy as well, but that's, I don't know, allegedly. If I understand the story correctly, and I may not, he took drugs while he was the Beach Boys, and after that he started hearing voices in his head. I think it might have kicked off, it might have softened his reception, and because he was into clairvoyance and everything else after that. But he still made what I think one of the greatest songs ever done. I don't even know if you can call it rock, probably, but that's Good Vibrations.
Yeah, their stuff was sort of a pop rock, sliced into whatever they call that, beach rock.
I guess, yeah,
surf music.
Yeah, I'd love to get back into that. I wouldn't mind. I mean, if I had my dream, I'd probably go out and buy a Mustang, guitar Fender Mustang, or what's the other one? Jaguar, Fender Jaguar, and those were before the Telecasters and that all became popular. And I believe the Beach Boys had those guitars.
Was Brian Wilson a keyboardist or a guitarist?
Bass player.
Really?
And keyboardist for sure.
Okay.
I mean, one time, I don't know if it was Pet Sounds, but one time he filled his living room with sand, put his piano in the sand, and he composed barefoot in the sand. So you call that crazy if you want, but then he ends up producing something that's just brilliant, that's around to this day, that influenced the Beatles, Rolling Stones, everybody. You know, the Beach Boys influenced a lot of people. My problem with the Beach Boys is they looked so nerdy.
In the beginning.
After that, they just looked like guys. But as the Beach Boys, if it wasn't for their sound, you'd laugh them off the stage, I think.
Well, I did like the old Woody station wagons with the surfboards on top or sticking out the back. So then Chrysler came up with a minivan with the Woody style on the panels. Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Chrysler
minivans?
minivans?
The surf sound was wonderful. California Girls.
Yep.
They all could be. Okay, I don't know why I took that.
I don't know, but I'm thinking the song that you're talking about with the ESP and intuitive stuff that Brian Wilson began to dabble with was I'm picking up good vibrations. It's giving me excitation. Good vibration. So I can sort of get that intuitive stuff. Like people needed, what do you call it? Enhancement strategies, which is why he did some of his mushrooms, I think you were saying, or
I'm not sure what he took. Yeah,
what he took,
might have been mushrooms.
But it was to loosen up his perceptions and get him into the realm of accessibility. Yeah, loosen you up.
I even had someone say to me, the best thing you could probably do in the middle of the night, pour yourself 4 ounces of whiskey in the dark of the night and start writing. Probably good advice. I don't know how good that's going to be for your body, but
I'm not sure either. But it has been said for crooning, which is the style of music of Bublé, a little shot glass of whiskey.
Well, Dean Martin in the glass, which I don't think Dean Martin even drank.
No,
but he pretended he did. Oh yeah, you did. Paul McCartney's favorite song, I think, to this very day, is "God Only Knows" by the Beach Boys.
Okay, so the influence goes far and wide.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The Beach Boys influenced, I think, or it was Norwegian, not Norwegian, what was that?
Well, that
was Soul. Rubber Soul either influenced the Beach Boys. If it did, Rubber Soul was influenced by the Beach Boys, probably Pet Sounds or something, and vice versa. They sort of had a rivalry unspoken. They just admired each other's sounds. And
all of those sounds were derivatives of black culture and blues from the South. Yeah. So there you go. A small circle of musical influence.
Derivative from the first settlers, the Vikings.
I'm not sure about that. I'm more like the cotton-picking slaves.
I'd love to see a video of that Viking sitting around the fire. Whoa, nobody knows the trouble I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah, it was black music, black culture, and yet the head of the Department of Education, the Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, who's WEF, World Wrestling Federation, she was the one who was asked, should references to the slaves and black culture be removed from education? Should you stop teaching the Tulsa, Oklahoma massacre from, I'm thinking it was 1918, 19, somewhere in there, after World War I? Entire black neighborhoods in Oklahoma City were bombed by the Air Force. People were bombing their own city.
Whoa. We're
So should that be removed from education? She
No,
said,
no.
I'm not sure that I can answer.
I think
What
maybe,
do you mean?
I think maybe, like, I'm not for tearing down statues, but I'm sure am for putting up the truth on a plaque.
There you go. Put up the truth on a plaque.
Yeah,
Why not?
yeah.
Make truth your banner.
He was many people thought this was the greatest general going. But, FYI, the truth of the matter is he had X amount. This is the reason he was doing what he was doing. I don't know how you do it. It's not my job.
Well,
But I don't
Trump got rid of
removing-
a lot of black generals at
did
the
he?
beginning of
Oh,
this
yeah.
this
Well,
administration.
Well, I don't know how we even got into this.
Well, we got
Brian
into it from the
Wilson-
Beach
Brian
Boys and
Wilson.
spiritual music and slaves
Yeah,
picking
yeah.
cotton in the Deep South and how that influenced the Beach Boys and Paul McCartney. And there you go, picking up good vibrations so it goes around.
Well, you pick up good vibrations. I mean, you're a real sound guy. You like sounds and no.
Oh, yeah, I like
meant
playing.
it as a compliment.
Yeah, I like playing with sounds, but I'm not sure. Well, who would you say is your influence? Would you say you've got a Beach Boys influence in any of your music?
I'm influenced by a whole pile of people.
You don't record barefoot with sand
Well, a
in
lot
a
of people
pail?
would say I'm probably. Bobby would say it's probably Bruce Springsteen. Is more
Your big
my
influence.
seriousness of my music, and and I tend to agree. That's probably it. But obviously the Beatles were the greatest at that time influence on me. But Leonard Cohen is as well. So is Neil Young. And the Beach Boys, of course, even some of the Rolling Stones stuff, my day it was the Beatles or the Stones, or the Stones, and I kind of like both, and I liked early Stones, Satisfaction and Ruby Tuesday, that kind of music. What about you? Who's your influence? Neil?
Probably Neil Young and Gordon Lightfoot would
Gordon
be two of my biggest ones. But I enjoy the sounds of all of them. I want to get a theremin. Speaking of good vibrations, that sci-fi sound that's in
Yeah.
the back. That
Oh, yeah.
woo.
The first I ever heard it was in Good Vibrations.
Really? Okay. It's
I've
in the
never heard
any
it or
19
heard of it before.
1950 sci-fi. The Day the Earth
yeah.
Stood Still, or the robots, invasions of the body snatchers, all that stuff. They use a theremin in there. And it's a musical instrument that you shape the sound with your hands.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that I would love to
And I
get
guess
hold
he
of.
brought in a real professional.
Well, I hope they learned how to do it themselves and
Well,
put it
they
in.
may have, because it was a $50,000 recording, that one song.
You were saying
Back
that.
in the day, they said it would be about a $400,000 recording
Yeah,
session.
for one song.
For one song.
What did we read at breakfast this morning? It was 90 hours worth of tape.
Yeah, over that, I think. Yeah,
That's I don't spend that much time on anything.
I know.
And that's one song from one album.
I know.
Unbelievable.
Well, it wasn't on the album.
What? It was
As I understand it, it wasn't on the album. It was that was Pet Sounds at the time, and that's the album that some
that it
people-
was cut from?
No, that's as I understand it. The Beach Boys went on tour, I guess, to promote Pet Sounds without Brian Wilson. Now I may be wrong on this.
Ooh.
Brian Wilson.
Right into the
stayed
show
home.
if you know. Bobby, are you
Hi,
listening?
Bobby. Brian Wilson, as I understand it, stayed home and composed Good Vibrations.
While they were promoting the album.
Yeah.
Interesting. And that was the song with his feet in the sand?
I don't know if that one was, but I don't know what album it was. We'd have to look it up, and you and me, we're just in a coffee shop.
That's
and
right.
it's just
Have you heard? Yeah, and we don't have access.
We're not going to pull out our phones. We're
Nope.
not going to look. What album did Brian Wilson record?
The Jim and Terry Show. We're so technophobic that we will not pull out our phones.
We're not going there. We don't care if you're
We
listening.
don't, that's right. Don't bother pinging us because we're not picking it up.
Fine, report us.
We're Luddites. What Beatles? Not Beatles. Beach Boys. Since we're on the Brian Wilson bent on this podcast, what song would you celebrate as their best? Old one or newer ones? Because they kept writing and producing right up until
the older ones.
The older ones,
I would
okay.
think. I mean, I don't even know where Good Vibrations fits.
I think it's back in the 60s.
Yeah, but the older ones I really like.
Okay.
Like they had a good, happy sound,
Yes.
And just the guitaring and everything was.
And they
great
were the
sound.
clean cut American band.
They were the clean cut American band.
Well, I'm going to leave it with this one because Aruba, Bahamas, come on, pretty mama. That's one of the best ones that I
Last song I heard before I got here.
really. Yeah. There you go. The Jim and Jerry Show signing off and saying adieu to Brian Wilson, the Beach Boys. Take care now. Somewhere.
The sweat of my brow and the toil of my hands has got me so far into this promised land.